A lot of parents, when they're thinking about working with their kids and helping them become better athletes, they're thinking about deliberate training. And deliberate training is really important. It's something that we do at Fortis, whether it's edge work or puck handling drills or working in our gyms. Having a coach that can show you how to do proper technique is really important. But one thing a lot of parents don't think about is the ecological approach. And that's basically a fancy term for the way in which the environment interacts with an individual to help them become better at their sport. And I think there's a few different examples that are really, really interesting when we look at athletic development. And I'm going to go through these really quickly. So one being Wayne Gretzky. Wayne Gretzky's dad had him out on the pond in the back with tennis balls constantly. And his dad's thought was, well, if you can stick handle a tennis ball, which when you hit it a little too hard, it's going to bounce really far off the stick, that'll help develop soft hands. And so Wayne had a passion for being outside and being out on the pond and playing hockey and shooting tennis balls and stick handling with them. And he credits that time with helping build some soft hands capabilities, right? And so now today we just think about putting a kid into stick handling lessons with group lessons, whether it's in the mornings before school or whatever. We're always looking for the deliberate training. And again, that's not a bad thing to do. It's a good thing to do. It's something that we do here at Fortis. But we want to also think on how can we create an environment for youth athletes that is conducive to helping them become better athletes. That environment is going to create opportunities for them to become better. And so that's one example. Another one would be Pavel Datsuk in Russia. And so for Pavel, he had a stick that if it broke, he wasn't going to get another one for a long time. And he didn't have that great of a stick. And the next one down the line, you just really didn't know when you were going to get it. It probably wasn't going to be as good of the stick as that you currently had. And so for him, he literally talks about how he worked on little snapshots. He never took a big wind-up because he was too afraid if I go for like a big one-timer, I'm going to snap my stick and I'm not going to be able to get another one. And he credits this sort of the lack of resource, the constraint in the environment that he grew up in, with helping him develop a snapshot that ultimately, or a quick release shot that ultimately was something that he needed to have when he got to the NHL. And so that's another example. And the third one is with Sean Podine. And I was talking with Sean about his development as a youth athlete growing up in Rochester. And there was a flood in Rochester and sometime in the 70s. And when that flood came through, it created a creek, kind of a creek in his backyard. And it created like a maybe 8-foot wide by 20 or 30 feet long ice arena essentially in his backyard, or a little rink. And he would play with his friends on this little rink, 1-on-1, 2v2. What it forced him to do, as he was thinking back on this and as we were discussing this, is it forced him to have to be able to handle the puck. It was small space, so he might have been faster than everyone else out there, but there wasn't enough space for him to be able to utilize that speed. He really had to work on his hands and his hockey IQ, deception, in order to get around someone. And so that helped build up that skill. And so as parents of youth athletes, I think it's really important to think about how do you set up the environment around your youth athlete, not just be thinking about making sure that they get into the right stick handling camp or the right shooting camp or the right edge work camp. Those things are important. Learning how to skate in particular is very important. But what we are missing more and more in the American youth sports landscape is developing cultures and environments where kids just it's open for them to go shoot pucks or stick handle in the garage or with their friends down at the park. They're playing a variety of different games and they're building athleticism. And then that in turn, the benefit of this is actually something where the deliberate practice and the ecological approach intersect. So if you do a really good job of having an ecological approach, that is where kids, let's say, are working on tips with their buddies for hours, right? They're shooting pucks, they're working on tipping it down. You do that for hours and hours and hours with your friend. And then now you go to a skills coach and you're working on some hand-eye coordination drills, or you're working on tips. You are going to get far more out of that deliberate training session because the foundation's been built through that ecological approach. And so our recommendation for parents is, step back. Instead of just thinking about the clinics and the camps and the private skating instructors or whatever it may be, think about how you can set up your house, your backyard, your neighborhood in a way that will be more conducive to giving your kid opportunities on his or her own to develop.